Hi teammates, happy Halloween. We'll go over some information here. I've broken down the Halloween H2O movie before, but we'll just go over a few key points here. And essentially it deals with the Micah 5 symbolism from the Bible, and that is tied to the Revelation 17 woman, who I believe could be Eve. Some people think it's Lilith, but either one could be, is the way it is. And basically Daniel Cudmore is tied to the Revelation 12 woman, and the way I see the Revelation 17 is the realistic approach to it is all Lilith spirit. Whenever it's in action and it becomes real, it's Lilith. But it's the subconscious of Eve is what I think, and that is shown in this film here called H2O Halloween. Now, keep a mercy mindset. I'm not saying anything against anyone, and I'm not out to get anybody. I'm a free spirit. I love to be, try to be kind and love everybody, treat my neighbor as I would myself. And part of my testimony is I've had a really troubled past. I had a girlfriend back in 2014, and I ended it horribly with her in an attempt to try to get things done for the Lord and do what I thought was signs from God, but to the average person it would seem that I was led by the devil, and it ended me up in jail and all sorts of trouble. So I steer away from that now, and I just depend on the Lord's mercy and grace to get me through each day and just go off of faith. But this film shows Eve's subconscious, so I'll show that right now.
12 steps, self-help, group therapy, shrinks, meditation,
That's not everything.
Oh yeah. What else is there?
I'm a really good listener.
Maybe sunlight by a warm water.
I'll be right back.
Can I get another glass of Chardonnay, please? Today. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So right there you can see that basically the Italian guy, or at least he looks Italian, he's coming into the picture, and the Italians deal with things differently. They have a bathtub method to get people into the industry type with all sorts of, like Tupac, they got in the bathtub, and it's basically emaciate the man and exalt the female figure, and that's what they do. And they, they're all about like putting on the dress and stuff, and like Jersey Shore plays on that. It plays on those type roles, and that's all tied in with like the Italians. But they're also ruthless and are known as the arms. They're the master apprentice relationship, and they're like the hands, like when you make someone your arm, like Isaiah 63, like my own arm brought me strength and all that. And they play on that, they play the Bible to a T, and it's all about the Thyatira church mostly, and they're even tied in with the clones, the Hatfields and the McCoys and all that. The Italians are tied in with all that stuff. And they try to give people glory by exalting them on screen, and then they make a clone based off of what happens on screen and all sorts of stuff. But they even tricked Tupac. They got Tupac tricked with the bathtub and stuff. So, and I've shown that before in my other videos, but they're all like Renaissance era, so like higher thinking, and that's why they have the arms, because they want to relay their knowledge. They want to trickle it down. So, and that's all the mafia organization type, So you can see she's drinking, she's drinking excessively. That's the subconscious of the Eve figure. The Revelation 17 that's all described there. So, and then the guy that's her boyfriend, he's intrigued, he wants to go down the rabbit hole, and he ends up, later, it's a real sad scene whenever he dies or whatever, or at least they make it out to be with her, but he wants to go down the rabbit hole. So it's kind of like, because he wants to go down the rabbit hole, he's opening up that door, and that's why he's not really like a hero figure in this film, It's not anything against him, and it's not like he had a curse on him or anything. It's just he opened up that door, and he went down the rabbit hole. And oftentimes they show the Italian as not being the hero. He might look like the tough guy, but he's not. He doesn't become the hero in the end. They show that many times, and they're more like the thinkers is what they show them as. And so she's drinking, and then she also, it leaks through that she's not being kind, She's being pushy because it's out of fear. She pushes everything. She pushes everything along out of fear, and that's part of the 1898 symbolism of the figure climbing the tree of the it creature with the sloth on the other side, because it's like falling within the 10 Commandments, because Jesus wants us to be kind. Jesus wants us to follow his 10 Commandments, which are like his parables. That's like the new covenant. He wants us to follow that, and then there's groups within the tribulation that follow the 10 Commandments and the testimony of Jesus. So she's kind of pushing that I am figure, and to get more drinking. So it's like her subconscious is allowing more time on the earth because she's operating by fear, when really there's nothing to be afraid of. So.
Desperate measures.
It's illegal.
It's harmless and expected. Studies have proven that all teenagers at some point in their adolescent lives have shoplifted.
What studies?
Hey, we could have avoided this whole thing if you would have simply scored some of your mom's boobs.
Look, my mom's a functioning alcoholic. She smells forever.
So right here, you see Josh Hartnett is with the character Charlie. Now Charlie is breaking the rules. He's stealing and stuff. So that's trying to get the Josh Hartnett figure to go down that path of, crossing the boundaries. Like, to get the spear and all that, you have to cross the boundaries. So that's why they're showing him like that, because the Josh Hartnett represents Josh, which is like unfulfilled glory, just like in Zechariah, it talks about Josh and the restrictions on him. And then the heart represents like the Hu Yi figure, who is Saint David and Nebuchadnezzar and all that. So it's like the becoming the type of glory it takes to get the spear for the animals type, which a spear is for the animals. Because it represents the beast, it's not just for the animals, but it represents being a beast, being red and all that. So that's what the Josh Hart net is, because Charlie here is netting him. He's trying to catch him as Charlie is the fisherman of, crossing the line type. So they show that, and then he says, what studies? He's like, what studies of people shoplifting or whatever? And it's because they're trying to get him to go down the path of Alice in Wonderland, like go down the Matrix, look for truth type, And that's for the it figure, but it's for everyone as well. That's why they put that in there, because they're testing all of humanity to see if we'll look for truth or not. So, and then, of course, they have this for the realistic type it figure, but they also have characters for the Fifth Age type, and those are more like the Marvel movies, DC and all those. But even like Batman, when he would do his detective work, sometimes it would take on an otherworldly approach, and he'd come into contact with like Mr. Freeze or something, and then okay, this is talking about the Ben V character who gets the spear at the end of the 42 months, which is like a mobbing within the real Fifth Age of like superhumans and stuff. So.
Some off-campus lunch.
You're not allowed to have little off-campus lunches, John. You know that. You too, Charlie.
Sorry, Miss Steve.
Come on, I'll drive you back. You know what? Charlie, here. Go get in the car. I'll be right there. What the frick do you think you're doing?
Mom, I'm really uncomfortable with you saying that.
Well, then don't put me in a position, John. Do you know what day it is? Of all the days for you to pull that, what do you think you can do? Just wander around town? I don't ask you for very much, just give.
So right here, they've of course made the Jamie Lee character the mother, and they have the it figure as the son. So they add in that dynamic because they switch it up in every movie, but. And they'll fracture it in every movie. Like you'll see more than one character represents the it figure, or the Baal Shalisha type heroes of end times, which are pre-end times, basically. The end of the Fourth Age or end of the Sixth, going into post-nuclear type. So I guess you could say one is like Law and Order, and the Baal Shalisha is Law and Order, 95 of them, and then the 5 that are left are post non Law and Order type. So so they have them clashing, and she's asking for one day because this was the day that he that Michael Myers went after her or whatever. So
Me one day!
I've given you 17 years.
I need you to be responsible. Do you know what that means? Responsible.
Don't talk to me about responsible,
I
Mom.
just need this one.
How am I not responsible for you? That's it. That's enough. I can't take it, Mom. He's dead. Michael Myers is dead.
What do you want me to say?
That it's over? We should try to get on with some intent today.
See, right here, they're making a big point. That's the real Josh Hartnett coming out right there, because it took a lot in the Freemason realm, a lot of different types of sacrifices and getting past the blockades, for him to say that. He's dead, and in that sense, it means he's out of the picture. Like Michael Myers he's an end times watchman. He's not. He's collecting information. He's not in the game. He's not mobbing, doing stuff. He's not controlled by the devil or anything. So he drops that, and she's like, "What do you want me to say?" Because she doesn't know. She doesn't know what to believe. So
Happy existence, Mom. Because it's going head is leaking out on me, and I can't take it anymore.
Did you hear that? What's going on in her head is leaking out on him. They have a relationship because of the fear and because of the Revelation 17 woman, the drinking. It could even be a spiritual type drinking, but it's all fear-based. And they've even promoted that to the point that Trump says Make America Great Again, which is Great Britain, and they've spun the voodoo of the French out of spite and are using that voodoo to create fear. And that's what Trump is doing. It's called Fearington. It's called it's basically called using the French voodoo out of spite of the French, because the French were supposed to be ruling at this point, and it's the English that are ruling, and Trump is their front man.
Watched him burn.
They even add in here about the G a little bit, the G between the Eve figure and the id figure or whatever. The G, you watched him burn, it's about the G intercourse or whatever. So they even add in stuff like that as details, seeing if we'll catch it. But
20 years. 20 years. Don't you think he would have shown up by now? What's he waiting for, huh? I can't live like this. I'm sorry.
What does that mean, John?
If you want to stay handcuffed to your dead brother, that's fine, but you're not dragging me along. Not anymore.
So right there, Mr. Sandman plays on the radio, and that's like talking about Django Unchained and all that, the sand of the Django, and like the breaking of the boundaries between the two, and like basically it's like a truce between the two, and they show that 973 because it's the 9 days blue flame and the 3.7 which is the lake of fire, and that's spiritual. Those are time markings in between periods, between the 5 months and the 3.5 years. So the fact that they show this on Halloween, we're probably right there right now, but we don't know how long it's going to take. No one knows, but they show that. But so basically, and then the movie goes from here, and Michael Myers, returns and all that. But really, that scene that I just showed is the basis for the movie, because the rest of the movie is just fear-based. It's all, you could even say it's a figment of the imagination, because this movie isn't even really canon. The other Halloween movies don't really follow this one, so it's kind of a standalone, fear-based. And in the end, she kills Michael Myers, so it's about the Eve figure standing up, sort of thing, and not letting fear take hold of her. So just wanted to show this, and there's that 973, and even the 73 is mentioned in Ocean's 13. Matt Damon says he'll have any wine, just not 73. And he's wearing the fake nose and all that. It's kind of a funny approach to it all. The Ocean's 13, it's a lighter approach, and that's why it's one of my favorite movies. But and then also the 37 is represented by Minister Paul. He shows the 37 equals war, and like a transitional period. So thank you, teammates. Have a good night. Happy Halloween.